It's 2025 now. That's insane. One thing that's not insane is that PlayStation 4 is still nice. Regardless of what year it is, I don't know if it's just a thing at this point where everything that gets older gets better and we look back at it and just things become more appealing to human beings as it gets older. Maybe this is a thing, maybe it is not a thing, but might be. If it isn't, maybe one day we'll be able to look back at the PlayStation 5 generation and be like, you know what, it wasn't that bad. PlayStation 4 was one of the greatest consoles of all time. I really mean that statement. I feel like this was the last console that really felt like a true gaming system at times. Remember it came with that little one-piece headphones? Felt like I was opening an Xbox 360 or something for the first time when I first got it. It actually came with a little headphone thing you could talk to people with. You didn't have to worry about that later on or something. Is this system still worth playing? Even over 10 years now. It's about 10 years and a couple months. You know, PlayStation 5 is basically on its last limbs at this point. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, but I think it was even this past year where someone was saying, or somewhere on the internet, I'm not even sure what the hell's going on anymore, but somewhere on the internet, there was an article or something saying that it's basically at the point where it's halfway through it. So it's just look out for the next one. I own a PlayStation 5 and I feel like the only thing I mostly do on it at this point, besides maybe a couple of games, I mostly just go back and play PlayStation 4 games on it. Is that weird? This is one of the greatest selling consoles of all time. If you look at a list of, it seems like no matter where you go, there's always something telling you something different, but no matter what position it's in, it's one of the greatest selling consoles ever. That's how you know it's good. I don't think people usually buy things that aren't that good. Maybe. Unless it's maybe an end table from IKEA or something. Maybe that's a situation where you can make the case that that happens. But for the most part, most people don't run out and buy things that aren't good. Something unbelievably underrated, or just if you bring it up, it's probably something everyone will just say, you know what, you're probably accurate when you say that. When you turn the damn thing on, it looks so nice just loading up into this very simple yet beautiful UI. The menu was amazing. You could change the color of everything. This was really kind of a make or break type of generation almost. Felt like, at least for Sony around the time. Think about it. PlayStation 3, the initial launch of it, that was crazy kind of. I mean, it did release to a lot of hype and everything. Like everyone seemed to want to get the system, but it was so damn expensive. That was crazy back in 2006. Like, let's be honest here. That was an insane amount of money. They learned the lesson of maybe pushing the limits of the pricing at launch for a system, and look what happened. It just became one of the greatest selling systems of all time. Why is this meaningful, and why am I talking about this to begin? Well, you got to know a little bit of the backstory about the system before you really get into it, because there are things you have to maybe say before you say anything. Maybe? I don't know. This is just random now, isn't it? There were a lot of games that released I felt were very exciting and just nice to look forward to. Like they felt new and just nothing you've seen recently. I remember when this game specifically was kind of at the point where it was starting to be discussed more. The Division was one of those PlayStation 4 games. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I was looking forward to many other PlayStation 4 games around this time other than this one. This one I was looking forward to forever. And regardless of if this game really reviewed well or just if people necessarily liked it or didn't, I thought it was just kind of cool. You can play it strategically. You don't have to just run in like a psychopath or something every time you see somebody. Run in from the start, or the start. This isn't Mario Kart. When you have the amount of possibilities, possibly, in this game, or just options that you can do if you want to run in, not run in, now it's almost kind of like you don't really know what to think, no matter what you're told. We can be told anything and not even really know if it's going to be something that's worth doing. It's almost scary. Is the PlayStation 4 insanely underrated? Is it? I don't know. I feel like it might be. Although you do see a lot of people say it is great. I don't know if I've heard that many people say that PS4 was dog urine or something. It's almost something where it's consensus that people like it very much. I was just looking at the library of games that this system had, and I was just like, oh my Jesus. This many? This many good games on this system? Why isn't this discussed more? PlayStation was really on fire. Not actually. Like, just they were doing good things. That almost feels like what determines whether or not a console is really good, by the amount of games you can go back and play and not get bored and just feel like they're almost brand new even when you've played them before. That's kind of what PlayStation has been like for the first 4 generations of this. There's so many games you can just go back and play and have fun still. Yeah, the PlayStation 4 may have sounded like a broken milkshake machine at times because it was very loud when it played some games. When you almost just not even think about the noise, you're just so distracted by kind of the greatness going on in front of your face, then what is really noise anyway? I'm honestly really remembering now how fun this game was. I don't know, this was kind of back when I didn't really pay attention to many reviews before games released, because I just didn't want to think a game was bad or something, and then I would just get a little bit scared thinking that the game wasn't going to be good, and I just would be scared to buy it. I am dead. I just bought it, had fun with it. I probably played so many hours of this that if I went back and looked at the amount I had in total, it would be embarrassing. It would probably be something that at that point in my life I shouldn't have been doing so much, but again, who cares? I don't know what else there is to do. Am I supposed to just stand there and think about a way to come up with a donut recipe or something? I don't know. All right, so the more I'm playing this, the more I'm really starting to understand how incredible this really is. Say what you want about how good all the games are on the PlayStation 4, because they really are. There's not that many that I've played, at least, that have been so bad I never want to play again. This was, I remember this feeling like it was almost the best graphics you've ever seen your entire life up until this point. I'm just honestly looking at how great looking this game really is. This is a masterpiece. God, every time I try to type something in, my sausage banana hands keep pressing the wrong button. Yeah, 2016 this came out, so it just was over 8 years old now. When PlayStation 3 and 360 were out and you played some games on that, you didn't think that they would ever look better than that. We played Grand Theft Auto 4. Even some of the Gears of War games look really good in my opinion, but this was something where I never imagined games could really look as good as this ever again. Games that are still 10 years old are still this impressive. This is almost not right. Not to mention, this is probably the last time we've probably had a really good Battlefield game. I don't know. I haven't played Battlefield 2042 in a bit, but when I did play it, I was just kind of disgusted. I can't believe it. And, you know, this is just one of those situations where we may have not really appreciated things when they happen. We're in the generation at this point of the game needs to have at least 60 frames per second, otherwise people aren't even considering playing it. I've seen those comments. If the game doesn't run in the highest frame rate but looks amazing and the gameplay is good, I'm playing it. I don't know if there was a game with better rain textures than this, and I'm serious. It's been hard to find a game that has just more visual niceness, especially at nighttime. Like, I'm just trying to think of games at night that look really good with like lighting. Cyberpunk maybe, but that's kind of a newer game compared to this one. Yeah, this game is incredible actually. I don't know if there's really many more, well, there is many more games you can say that are this severely maybe underrated. I don't know. Maybe it isn't, but I don't know if I've heard many people say that this game specifically is one of those ones you need to go back and play. This isn't like up there with Red Dead 2 or something. It's just one of those games that might go under the radar. I didn't play this game for years after it released, and then it's just one of those ones you play. You're almost just sitting there after you play it, looking at your TV or monitor or whatever the hell it is with Coca-Cola falling out of your mouth, and you haven't had that drink in months. There's probably no chance you can even discuss this generation or even the PlayStation 4 if you want to get specific and not bring up Red Dead 2. The fact that we were able to get a game that looked this beautiful and just was so amazing in this generation really shows this may have been peak gaming almost at times. Yes, old school systems rule and everything, but there was times where this generation took place where it almost seemed like things could not possibly get any better, and this was a perfect example of it. This game is going into its 8th year, or 6th. Or what, 7th? It's 7. I didn't know what year it was for a second. This is going into its 7th year of existing. You have to go back. This is always a game where if you have it downloaded on the system, you don't ever want to just delete it and then have to download it again if you have it digitally. It will always stay inside of the system, no matter if it's just sitting in the very back of the library. I guess if you want to say one really good thing about the PS5 is you can still play PS4 games on it. How about that? How is PS5 good? Well, you can play PS4 games on it. There are so many good games on the PlayStation 4, and I'm starting to really understand that the more I look. I wish I could play all of them that I want to. There was probably a good 20 that I found that I wanted to play. I just obviously can't sit here and play 20 campaigns or whatever it is in a row. That would just be, you know. I found this Sniper Elite 4 game, which I've never played any game from this series before. It kind of reminds me of Hitman. You're just a sniper. It's kind of badass. I think there's more amazing games on PS4 than there are Dirty Kleenex and Grandma's Toyota Yaris. When did these games even release? That's one thing I'm kind of kicking myself in the face over right now, is when did this game release and I was unaware of it? Because this would have been a game I would have ran to if I knew it was coming out. PlayStation 4. You can sit there. You can just rot in your chair. Like right now, I'm just sitting around doing nothing but this. And it's amazing. I don't know if a kitchen mop in a potato field is more irrelevant than I am right now. This is actually getting to the point where I am a little bit worried. If you have a PS5, it's honestly a really good idea to go back and check out some of these PlayStation 4 greatness games. You know, if the sense doesn't make sense, then the hell with it at this point. It's just whatever. If it makes a little bit of sense, then that counts, okay? It's nice when you have, if you actually want to do it, because one thing that I found actually kind of meaningful in one of those PlayStation 5 subscriptions where it's the PS Extra or something, the Premium, even the, what are they called? I think it's the Extra. You get a lot of access to a lot of older games, and that's great because these are still worth playing. I really don't know if there's going to be another generation where it feels like there was such a leap in generation to generation. Maybe I'm just a simple person with a very simple hamster mind or something. I have a squirrel brain or something where I just think simple things are fantastic. Going back and playing Red Dead Redemption and many other games too. Games where I actually felt happy when I played when they first released on the PS4. I didn't appreciate this system as much as I probably should have when it first released, and even for the whole cycle of it. It was really the last generation for fantastic franchises where they just came to an end, or they still continue technically. Call of Duty Ghosts was okay in my opinion. I played that. I think that was a launch title. I played that and I kind of had fun with it. But anything after that was kind of a mess in my opinion. I guess they did kind of make somewhat of a comeback when they released the Call of Duty 4 remastered version in 2016. That was awesome. For people around my age, you need to understand how much that meant to us, because the series at that point in time was kind of getting to the point of no return where no one really wanted to play. Like, I think that came out with Infinite Warfare or Advanced, I don't know which one it was, either Advanced or Infinite Warfare. It may have been whatever the hell the one where you had like a jetpack. I remember just wanting to buy that game just to play Call of Duty 4 as an add-on, because that's how they got you. I'm pretty sure at the very beginning you had to buy the newest Call of Duty and then you got Call of Duty 4 with it. I think a little bit later on they made it so you could just get Call of Duty 4 on it, or on your system. On what? I said on it. What the hell's it? A slimy bucket of just bacon grease that we got for whatever the Call of Duty was that year. After that, I don't know if there's ever going to be a good Battlefield or Call of Duty ever again in terms of multiplayer. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on with Battlefield 2042, whatever the hell it's called, but I guess that's getting better. Is it better than some of the old Battlefields though? Even like Need for Speed, people gave a lot of hate to around this time, and I still felt like those games were really good. If you want to go back and play a really good single player title, this is the generation to do it from. There was really nothing that happened in this generation for single player games where I remember one that at least I played that was just so disappointing. I think it's okay to admit that Sony might be going in kind of bad directions at times with whatever it is. One thing they did kind of get right, in my opinion, was the PlayStation 4 generation. They really made a good gaming console in that time. It's not even just games like Red Dead and just Battlefield and whatever the hell else. There's a lot of amazing underrated games too. When you talk about what was some of the greatest games in the last 10 years, you always hear the same ones, which is obvious and it makes sense. But games like Ghost Recon Wildlands, Detroit Become Human. Now that's a good game. Batman Arkham Knight. I mean, that was a game that just probably showcased how good games can look, or one of them, because there was a lot of them. Whether it was just all the single player games that this generation brought, or just even some multiplayer games, doesn't matter what it is. There was always a game you can find, and you would enjoy it. It's really impressive, actually, if you go back and look at the library of games for the PS4. I don't know, man. This was just a shockingly good system, and I didn't even really understand it until a certain point. Just browsing the library again and getting happy, bringing happiness to your body from looking at some of these games again. But now I get it. It's not my favorite. I'm just saying I understand why people think that might be the kind of turned into Katy Perry or something where I look like a robot, but this is it. PlayStation 4 is still good, and it's time to wrap it up. It's very loud though.